Greetings, everyone. You're watching another 15-minute segment with Marcus. I'm sitting down with Christopher Shaffer. Christopher Shaffer is one of the top political consultants in the state of Illinois. All Chris does is help people. He's worked on some very high-profile campaigns, and quite frankly, he's the type of consultant that the world actually does need. He's taken a proactive stance to put some of the most prolific people in office, and as a result, the world is a better place. Today, I'm going to be talking to Christopher Shaffer about a couple of different issues. One of the issues is fake news, and some of it is media. Christopher Shaffer, please tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Christopher Shaffer. After Marcus gave me that rousing introduction, I feel like I have a lot to live up to. I'm a political consultant here in Chicago. I've had a company for the last 6 years. We fundraise. We also consult for different races at the state level, the city level, the county level. We fundraise, we consult, we do whatever we can to help good elected officials get into office. And that's what we've been doing for the last 6 years or so. Our current governor was one of our clients. We were with him from the beginning to the end of the campaign. We're very happy about the work that he's doing. President Preckwinkle is a client, some on and off, that we've been a part of. And there have been a bunch of other campaigns as well that we've helped out throughout the city and state.
See, I told you all that he definitely put some very prolific people in office. Those are two very respectable people that the state definitely needs. And not just on the state level too. I think those two are tremendous models for the national level too. I think other states are able to look at us and see the things that we're doing positively here, and they can replicate those things. So not only do we thank you on behalf of the state of Illinois, but on a national level, we thank you as well. With your job consulting, because I know whether you're looking at Facebook or any other, form of social media, we see that there's a lot of fake news going around. There's a lot of misinformation. Even worse, not only is there a lot of misinformation, but there seems to be fake news intentionally being spread. When people spread fake news or they don't understand the information properly, how difficult does that make your job? And B, how difficult is it for the elected official if you can successfully help them get into office?
It's a huge issue. I think it's fake news and bad news sites have become a huge problem with trying to get correct information to voters to make an informed decision. I'm working on one of our clients right now is the fair tax, and we're trying to get the fair tax passed in here in Illinois. And there has been a misinformation campaign that has been pushed. I understand in our business that there are, of course, different perspectives, but we've gotten to a point where there are no facts. Right. That you basically can go to any website you want to and find your informed bias to tell you what you want to hear and what you want to see. And we can only, as consultants, you can only do so much. You have to sit down and have those hard conversations with voters. And they present you with things that they go, but I found this on, the site that says the opposite of what you're trying to do. And it's like, yeah, well, they're trying to convince you that what we're trying to do is wrong, instead of going to like the state website or something that gives you or editorial, or it's some kind of news outlet that's respectable that can tell you, like, this is what this is trying to do. It's incredibly difficult. And I don't think people understand how detrimental these fake websites and, all bad information really is. It's horrible, because you can get into an echo chamber and start believing in all kinds of things that you just normally wouldn't believe. The terrorist plot for the Michigan governor started off as a fake website, fake news type of thing that a bunch of people caught on to and decided that we should try to do something about it. kidnapping the governor of Michigan and violently assassinating her to prove a point. And I don't know what you can possibly do about it, because everybody has a First Amendment right to go and share and say what they want. But we have gotten to a point where it's gotten a bit out of hand.
Even if that information is not true.
Mm-hmm. Truth at this point is so subjective that I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. It just becomes a matter of who do you trust that's giving you the information that you're getting. I think right now, the president that we have, I'm not going to go in about him, but I think he's been very good at making you question now, impartial resources that you normally would have looked to say, is this a fact, or is this it's just satire, or is this something else? But he's been very effective at creating, misinformation campaigns that people just don't know what to trust. And I think in our democracy, I think that it's on some of the social media websites and companies to figure out, can you have someone that everyone trusts that can look at these issues and decide what is a fact and what isn't? Because with COVID and everything else we have, people unfortunately are dying because they don't buy that the scientists saying masks at least help, with the transmission of the virus. A lot of people are dying because they read on a website that that's untrue. And it's horrifying because, African Americans, I think, make up half of the cases in the country. We have to take it serious. I have family members that have pre-existing conditions and don't have access to healthcare. So to have another segment of society that does have access to healthcare and can get a doctor's appointment if they get sick, go, well, I'll take my chances, and then they get sick and they spread it. It just seems inhumane that you wouldn't take it seriously for everyone. Right. And those misinformation campaigns have been very successful at helping to, make us more divisive than probably what we are.
Right. I noticed, and it was a good segue into, what we just finished speaking on. But one of the things that I did notice, I was looking at Facebook the other day, and a friend made a post, a very close friend of mine. He has a gym, and he was, worried that we were going to have to go back into lockdown. How long would it be? Then one person made a, comment on there from something that she had heard. Typically, I don't get into the arguments and things. I'll look at something and just shake my head if I don't agree with it. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that she said, which I found troubling because this is just blatant common sense, she specifically said that the governor was trying to put us back on lockdown so people couldn't vote. Well, I had to jump in and say something because I said the bulk of Illinois, and I started off because people, always view things as a personal attack if you don't agree with them. Mm-hmm. But I don't just want to see people make up stuff either. That's why I have such an issue with fake news, even if I oppose the different groups that it's coming from. But she said that the governor just wants to shut everything down so people can't vote. That's it. So the majority of the state votes blue, obviously. Mm-hmm. And since the majority of the state votes blue and the governor's clearly a Democrat, why would he want to shut the state down so people couldn't vote? But then the way I responded to her, then she was like, oh, yeah, then a bunch of other people, oh, yeah, that doesn't, make sense and, all that. And that's one of the things that, bothers me. And it's just how much is this misinformation affecting policies? Or like you said, people's safety. Because if I hadn't said anything, there's a lot of those people who just wouldn't have thought for themselves, mm-hmm. and they would have just spread the misinformation. And my buddy with his gym, he's thinking, oh, it's going to get shut down, or, what if this, or what if that? It's so many variables that people are just making up in their mind, which leads me to another question for you. because I know you've done work with a lot of nonprofits, and since so many nonprofits deal with social services, there's a big push for mental health and different things. We see an uptick in mental health during the pandemic, not just nationally, worldwide, but mental health, substance abuse, and people are going backwards on so many different levels. How do you think this is tying in to do you think this is tying into mental health, and do you think this is going to possibly trigger a mental health crisis?
I do, on several different fronts. With us being isolated from one another because of the quarantine and the stay-at-home stuff, it's inevitable that you're gonna have people that sink into depression because you have to be alone, or you can only hang around one or two people, that are in close contact, so that you're not spreading the virus and nobody's getting it. So that's one aspect that, I think mental health cases, after this is all said and done, meaning that we've gotten somewhat back to normal, I think they will spike, and I think they're spiking now. As far as therapy, I think therapy is I go to therapy. Full disclosure, I go to therapy. I started going to therapy at a time a few years ago when I started making, a decent amount of income, and I felt like I didn't want this to go off the rails. I had seen I watched other people, who started making a decent amount of income and just kind of lost their minds. Like, they started doing stuff that they normally wouldn't have done. They started going places that they normally wouldn't have gone to. Their behavior changed in a negative way that I went, I don't want to be like that. Like, I want to be able to stay within myself while I'm earning an income and have a demanding job. So I know therapy, especially in the African American community, it's still frowned upon.
Right.
There's still people that think it's a ghosts and spirits thing of some kind. But I found it to be very rewarding, my therapist, like, to sit down and talk about my issues and talk about, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and not feel like I'm being judged or feel like, what I'm thinking isn't valid. Like, I think mental health is very important, and I think we should have a renewed focus on it once we come out of the pandemic. Like, I know we don't have our mental health centers in Chicago anymore. I know we closed them down a few years ago. And my mom worked at the one in Inglewood for 15 years or so before it got shut down. And they dealt with mental health. They dealt with folks that came in off the street that had issues that they normally would not have been able to afford because they don't have income or they don't state assistance. So mental health, I don't know why we don't look at it the same way we look at everything else. If your mental is not well, I don't know how you expect a functioning society. How do you expect people to be okay if you've taken away, during this quarantine, you've taken away all of their interactions, all of their human interactions? You can't go to church. You can't do the normal things that you would probably do that keeps your mental health healthy. I think we should be looking at how do we help folks coming out of this pandemic, because it's not just the financial hit. The financial hit's been horrible for our people. Businesses have been shut down. Small businesses have been shut down. Like, there are a lot of people that have been hurt. And if we don't look at mental health and say, what can we do to help make people better moving forward, then that's shame on us as a society, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see. So how big, have you played a role in the push? Because I know not only do you help the good elected officials get into office and, more importantly, stay there, but I know there's just different social issues that you've been fighting for and you've been pushing for, and you use your ability. And that's why it's good that you have the background where your mom comes from a social service background, and she was able to instill a caring type of ideology in you. But have you been able to do any advocating on your own for this?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up hardcore Christian, like almost conservative Christian. Like, my brothers are both ministers now. My mom's an evangelist. My dad played, for Albertina Walker as a musician and different things. So I'm agnostic now, but that's my platform, or at least that's my beliefs. Even though I'm a big agnostic now, I come from a background of help the poor, help folks that don't have. So one of the things that I have taken a interest in is homeless people, like folks that literally are living on the street. Like if I see a homeless person, I'm trying to direct them to whatever shelter I know that's giving food or giving them the ability to not have to sleep on the street at night. I've independently, bought things for folks that are homeless to help them get through the night, whether it be a heated blanket or whatever. I just find it very odd that in America, with all our wealth and everything we have, that we just try to act like homeless people or people that don't have a place to stay don't exist. Like there's this just walking over them almost thing that people do. I know when people are at stop signs sometimes, you have a homeless person that is on a sign and people act like disgusted that the person is maybe asking for change. So that's one of the things I've taken interest in. I used to volunteer for #LunchBag, which used to put together lunches and different things, and they would donate them to shelters. We do like 1,500 every fourth Saturday of the month and give them out to different shelters. Of course, we have to stop that with the pandemic. Right. We can't do that. But that's a issue that I feel incredibly passionate about. It's homeless folks. Like I hate to see people living on the street, even if it's a substance abuse issue they've had in the past. I just feel like we should be doing something to help people that are living on the street. It just seems very wrong in America that we seem okay about that issue.
Exactly. Well, everyone, you've had the opportunity to meet Christopher Shaffer, one of the top consultants in the state, a true social advocate. He's really diversified across the board. You've seen us talk about political consulting, but at the same time, for him, it isn't just one platform. But after this episode, I want you to be able to tune in to our Texas edition. You've just watched another 15-minute segment of Marcus. We really appreciate you. Oh, also, we're going to give you one shot of the view from up here. One shot. That's Chris again. Check that out. Thanks, everyone. You've been great.